Hi everyone, my name is Erin. I'm the founder of FieldSnips, where our mission is to explore careers and inspire futures, one encounter at a time. And today we are here with the lovely Kimberly, and we are going to be learning about what an attorney does in the industry of law. So, Kimberly, what is an attorney?
So an attorney is an individual that went to college, went to law school, and practices law in their state or wherever state they get licensed. I'm a personal injury attorney, so that means that I help people who have been injured. They can have been injured in a car wreck or a slip and fall, but if they were injured and it was someone else's fault, I help those people.
Okay, got it. So any injury, whether a car wreck or if it's at work or something happens, it doesn't matter where.
There are a little more nuances.
Okay.
Like on the job injuries.
Okay.
But by and large, personal injury is a big term that covers a lot of things, but most commonly it's car wrecks or injured, if they fall or get injured on someone else's property.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad you reeled me back in and gave a good high level overview. And I know that a lot of students know, they hear lawyer all the time. They hear attorney, and a lot of times those words mean the same. Are they the same thing?
I'm so glad you asked that because there's this whole TikTok phenomenon about lawyer versus attorney.
Okay.
If you are in the USA, there is no difference. Lawyer and attorney is the same. We all have to graduate from law school and pass the bar. Okay. If someone went to law school and didn't pass the bar, they're not an attorney, they just have a JD. So an attorney or a lawyer must be licensed and they have the same privileges in the eyes of the law.
Okay, and you mentioned the bar and the JD. The bar is what?
So once you finish law school, you get a degree that's called a Juris Doctor, and that's the degree that you get when you finish. And then before you can practice law, you have to take the bar exam. The bar exam is just a big test.
Okay.
It's a test to prove to the state and the court that you learned what you needed to learn and you're ready to go out there and help people and practice law.
Got it. Okay. So think about the Georgia milestone test y'all be taking on a much larger scale, or the SATs and ACTs. Okay. Now, as far as when you learned about the industry of law or becoming an attorney, when did that begin to become an interest of yours? When did you learn about this area?
The earliest I can remember is there's a television show I used to watch growing up, and there was this character named Claire Huxtable.
Oh, yeah, we know the
yeah. And so I'm first generation. That means that I'm the first person in my family. Actually, I'm still the only person in my family that's an attorney. And so I saw this character, Claire Huxtable, on television, and she was a Black woman, and I was like, oh, what's an attorney? And Black women are attorneys? And I was like, oh, well, then I'm going to be an attorney. I'm going to be like Claire Huxtable.
Ooh, love that. Love that. And then it goes back to, I know I had another interview with a guy who was saying he got in his career just because of his interest. And just knowing what you're consuming, what you're watching, what is piquing your interest in that time really speaks volumes to what you may be interested in doing in the future. So no one in your family was an attorney, no one that you may have a teacher in school, you got it from just watching TV. So sometimes, TV can be good if you're careful. What do you think some important skills are to be successful in your career?
You have to love to read. A lot of people think that being an attorney is just arguing and debating. The loudest person in the room can still very much be wrong. So you have to love reading, and I would just say, start now, reading long books, even if they're just fiction. And then being able to write really well. And a great way to practice that is to write about what you read, because that's what you're going to be doing in law school.
Yeah, make sure you're reading and you're learning what's factual so you can help people. Let's see. What do you like most about your job?
I like helping people.
Okay.
I really like helping people, especially when I have a client that was trying to handle a problem on their own and they were unable to, and they come to me and I'm able to help them with that problem.
What do you think the future of this job looks like? Like right now, I guess from my point of view and maybe from some students' point of views, when we think of an attorney or even a personal injury attorney, you go to the courtroom, you are hopefully defending somebody who's gotten hurt and you win the case, they get some money, you get some money, and they, go about their day. Is there something that you think will change either in the process for preparing for a case or maybe becoming an attorney? What do you think that this career field will look like in the future?
That's hard to say, especially, I mean, you kids don't know what tort reform means right now, but it is the landscape of what I practice, which is personal injury, is just changing because, insurance companies, don't like to give hurt people a lot of money. So that's kind of the gist of like my practice. So I don't know what the landscape of, the industry is in the future. I just hope that, that more good people continue to become lawyers, and that they have good intentions and they want to serve people, because that's what the job is at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true. And it goes back to, reading. And if there are policies changing in people's insurance or if there are laws that are changing, you're the people who read and make sure you're up to date on that so you can help people as best as you can. So that makes sense. What is one of the coolest projects or one of the coolest encounters you've had doing your job?
Let me see. So before I did personal injury work, I did business law and a lot of transactional work. So I got to meet some interesting people. I got to travel a lot. That's interesting. And I still travel.
Did you get to travel out of the country, or were you?
I did get to travel out of the country when I was doing business law. Personal injury, not so much. I do get to travel within the country a lot.
Okay.
I speak at conferences, attend conferences.
That is cool.
Yeah, and it's just a great way to make sure I'm keeping up with what's going on outside of my bubble of my practice. I like to network with attorneys in other states. And again, that's just a way that we all make sure that we are working toward the same goal. So it's great to talk to attorneys in California and New York and Minnesota and see what's going on in their states, so we can make sure just kind of like nationally we're all working towards the same thing.
That makes sense. And you learn from other people and how to handle certain cases maybe? Or it's all like the law is the law.
No. It's great. Like, we don't necessarily, we do like to, someone may have a unique case. Okay. And it's great to hear how they handle that. We do have, lawyers have to go to what's called CLEs, which is continuing legal education. Okay. And that is because the law changes so much. You have to stay up to date on what's going on. So yeah, a lot of times these conferences are great to just kind of learn about the laws in different states. And also, get trial tips from another attorney. Hey, I tried this in court, or I presented evidence this way. It's great to, it's almost like a big study group. It's like a big study group. Okay. We go there and we all, all working on the same thing, but we're like, what do your notes say? What do your notes say? Like that. Okay. You got to get some like-minded people around you. That's very important. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are on the same path, or at least supportive of your path. If you know you want to be an attorney, and I'm telling you, listen, you need to be reading big books and writing a lot, and the people you surround yourself don't want to do that and don't encourage you when you're trying to do that, just things to look at now. Yeah, this is true. Pay attention to your circle. Yeah. What are some resources or hobbies that students can get involved in now? Maybe outside of reading, because you mentioned that. Yeah. I'm thinking more along the lines of debate team or like mock trial, or if those are the ones off the top of your head too. But what are some hobbies or resources? Maybe if you know of an organization that does a summer camp, or they, bring kids in to see a case, anything like that. Yeah, at the middle school, high school level, I'm out of touch. I don't have kids. So I don't know what programs they are. If they do have mock trial, or something like that, then that's a great resource. Any other classes I would say are public speaking. I also minored in theater. Okay. That's probably good. So public speaking and theater are two other good things. I had theater in high school too. So theater is a great, because you get used to talking in front of people. Do you ever get nervous when you're in front of the courtroom? Oh yeah. I mean, like, it's not like it is on television. People just, you walk in with your power suit. They talk so fast. You talk fast. No, court's very serious. Okay. And if you don't, the best way to always defeat fear is preparation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always prepared, but you can't predict what a jury is going to do or what a judge is going to do. So I'd be foolish not to be nervous, but the more nervous I get, the more I prepare.
Okay, that makes sense. And you mentioned something that made me think of another question as far as when you go in the courtroom as an attorney, who are the different people? Like you said, the jury, you have the judge. Who else you got in the room?
So when I go in, I am the plaintiff's attorney. So that means I am representing my client. And then you have the defense attorney. They are defending their client, which is usually the at-fault driver or the business owner. So plaintiff, defense. Representing, defending. And then you have the jury, you have the judge, there may be a bailiff. You guys see bailiffs on TV. They're the sheriff in the court. People can sit in the courtroom. The courtroom itself does look like you see on TV. It's just not as exciting.
It's not like Judge Judy, we don't get entertainment.
I mean, like rarely and not intentionally. No one's intentionally funny.
No one's trying to be entertaining when they're, money's at stake.
Right. Money's at stake, or for people to do criminal law, life and liberty is at stake.
That's a serious thing.
Yeah.
You're probably not laughing in the courtroom. Okay. And how many people are typically in the courtroom? When you talk about using theater or public speaking and being prepared to speak in front of people, how many people can be in a courtroom at a time?
You never know, because when you go to court, there's this thing called a docket. And basically it's a list of how many cases the court anticipates hearing that day. A motion versus a trial. And then, if it's an interesting case, you may have people that want to come watch the trial. People may just be sitting there waiting for their turn to get called up. So you just never know how many people are in there.
Okay. So be prepared. Okay. Some improv classes, maybe get some improv. Well, is there anything else, any other advice you want to leave the students with, or you think that, you probably gave everything? I feel like you gave a lot of good information, a lot of good insight, a lot of good stories.
I would just say that, when I was in elementary school, high school, like I said, I'm a first generation lawyer. So I did it without guidance. And I think the things I wish someone would have told me is, just work hard. It's easier to work hard now. If you work hard now, it'll be easier later.
Yeah.
Or I should say, if you work hard now, it'll be less hard later.
That's fair. You're not using the easy word.
No. If you work hard now, it'll be less hard later. And just take your grades seriously, not because they're going to make or break your life, but if you intend to go to college, you intend to go to law school, all anybody's going to talk about is your grades. So just go ahead and put your best foot forward now, and go ahead and build that foundation.
Yeah.
And once you become acclimated to hard work, it doesn't feel hard anymore.
That's real. At least you get the habits down.
Yeah.
It becomes
and it's just
habit.
how you do things.
It's your routine.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Start early. Great advice. Okay, some for the kids, some for me, but thank you for taking the time out. And thank y'all for tuning in. Until next time.